Welcome to Candid Dialogues with Plumber and Lorraine Baylor. Each week, we'll bring you wholesome and engaging conversations about things that matter to you and things that matter to us. We address life topics ranging from relationships to business and our personal favorite, spiritual things. Now, here are your hosts, Plumber and Lorraine.
There we go. Hey.
Hey everyone, welcome back. 2021. This is our first episode. We are getting ready to go live. Yes. We have a great show for you. What are we going to be talking about?
Succeed on purpose in 2021. Hey, let me see who we got. Hey, Yummy. Hey, Eleanor, man. Good. Hey, listen, guys, we're going to get started here real minute with the show. So please go ahead and share. Get folks to come on, and we're ready to do this.
We're ready to go.
We're ready to do this. We're not going to waste time. Okay, let's see. All right. Yep. All right.
All right, let's go.
We're going to get the party started.
Get this party started.
All right, let's get this party started. So what are we doing here? Let me see. Make sure I got this right.
Welcome to Candid Dialogues with Plumber and Lorraine Baylor. Each week, we'll bring you wholesome and engaging conversations about things that matter to you and things that matter to us. We address life topics ranging from relationships to business and our personal favorite, spiritual things. Now, here are your hosts, Plumber and Lorraine.
Welcome to Candid Dialogues with Plumber and Lorraine. I'm Plumber.
And I'm Lorraine.
And this is Lorraine. And in Candid Dialogues, we talk about things that matter to you and things that matter to us.
Yes, we do.
It is 2021.
It's 2021. I know many of you have been really excited about leaving 2020 and coming into 2021. Mm-hmm. And that's definitely because of some of the challenges that we face. And certainly some of those challenges are still in 2021. However, I think that many of us have that mindset that we're going to make it better. And I think that's going to be a good mindset to have in order for us to succeed in this 2021.
Succeed on purpose in 2021. It's 2021.
It is 2021.
And this is our second season. I'm just claiming that. I'm just calling it that. It's our second season. We did 5 episodes in our first season, and this particular season, I think we've got a whole lot more to give, right?
We've got a whole lot to give.
Yes, and you guys have made it really possible for us to do this, so we want to say thank you.
We definitely want to say thank you.
All right.
Listen, this topic is going to be exciting if you make it so. I really enjoyed gathering all the information that we needed to put this together for you guys. I know that he's a great researcher. He's a great researcher.
Okay.
He is.
Okay. So anyway, succeed on purpose in 2021. That phrase, succeed on purpose, mm-hmm. It came about, and I was sharing this with you, and I'm not going to go into details, but just after a colossal failure in my life, I remember talking to my dad, and he said to me, the journey to success doesn't happen by accident. You've got to plan for it. Mm-hmm. The journey to success doesn't happen by accident. You've got to plan for it. And over the years, even as I've played this out in my own life, I realized that the things that we're purposeful about, mm-hmm. they come to pass.
Yes, they do.
They do come to pass. So, and you know what? Part of planning requires that we talk about goal setting. Mm-hmm. I know you had a quote that you were sharing with me by Seth. What's the guy's name? Seth Godin. Mm-hmm. You remember what that is?
Basically, it's people who get things done, mm-hmm. those who lead, who grow, who make their impact. Those are the people that set goals.
So the people who set goals are the people who get things done. Mm-hmm. The people who lead, the people who grow are mm-hmm. the people who make an impact are people who set goals. Mm-hmm. Yes, folks, goal setting matters. We can try to shoot from the seat of our pants. Some of us are really good at it. Others are not good at it. But the bottom line is, I think you were mentioning something else, that if you, and it's an old saying, it's a cliche saying.
It's
right?
If you fail to plan, he who fails to plan to fail.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So just even saying, well, I'm going to wing it, That's a plan.
That's a plan.
That is a plan. So plans are
Maybe
there.
not a good one, but it's a plan.
Yeah. So plans are there. So why not be purposeful about your plan,
Yeah.
right? Why not be purposeful about your plan? Now, a goal. A goal can be defined as an end to which effort is directed. An end to which effort is directed, so that you get from point A to point B. So if the end is point B, right? So I direct effort toward point B. So a goal is an end to which effort is directed, and that's just a good thing to keep in mind, because sometimes, so even with that, quote unquote definition, if you don't have an end, then your effort is going everywhere, here, there, and everywhere. So a goal, really, I like that definition. It's an end to which effort is directed.
And I've heard someone say before, and I think there's a little bit of truth to it. There's some truth to it. If you don't have a plan for yourself, somebody else does.
Ooh.
If you don't have a plan for yourself, somebody else does. Because everyone else is going to have you a part of their agenda. And it's not necessarily going to be for your benefit, but for their benefit.
And some of us are here, there, and everywhere because we don't have an agenda.
We don't have an agenda.
Something she says to me almost every single day. We've been married 20 years last month. Right? And almost I got to tell you, she's got like a 99.999% success rate on this. There's a question she asks me every single morning, and it used to get on my nerves. And what is that question? What's on your agenda for today? Ooh. I'm a Mr. Wing It. Well, I used to be a Mr. Wing It kind of guy, And she would ask me this question, and it will just annoy me. Like, okay, you're trying to catch me off guard. You're trying to this. But no, this is just her nature. Well, but then I realized that there's great value in that. I really realized that there's great value in that, right?
But there's something else that I used to do. And I kind of stopped doing it because I didn't realize I was doing it. Before I got out of bed, I would literally have my hands up and I'd be...
Oh, yes.
Take it off.
She would lay there in bed, and I'd just see her doing this. Just kind of like, okay, yeah, what was she doing? She was planning. She was really planning for the day, kind of like a checklist, right? But in order to have a checklist, again, that checklist was the end to which she was going to direct her effort during the day. So that question, what's on your agenda for the day, I began to appreciate it, because as I began to formulate things just to shut her up, right, so that I could give her 3 or 4 things, I realized that, oh my goodness, right, now that I'm forced to say something, I'm being more productive. And for me, as a self-employed person, that was huge. That's been very huge for me. So anyhow, so the old has gone, the new is here, right? And if you're like many people at this time of the year, you've been thinking about what this new year is bringing. The diligent among us, sometime in, last year, I know people who go on retreats, just a plan for the year. Businesses do that, but individuals do that as well. They go on retreats, say like in October, November, and plan for next year. But the majority of people, right, don't do that. Instead, we just process that in our mind and we say, okay. And, there's just something about this time of the year, something about the new year that just stirs up hope in people. Maybe because it's the new year. Maybe because people are thinking, you know what, it's an opportunity for me to start all over again. Whatever that is, but this time of the year, it just stirs up hope in people. And here's the thing, most people start off by making New Year's resolutions.
Yeah. It was, for many people, that was the thing. The beginning of the year came and they had some New Year's resolutions that they wanted, some things they really wanted to accomplish, so they would have New Year's resolutions. Well, over the years, I've heard many people say, I don't make resolutions. I don't.
Because they
have failed.
And you know what I found out as we were researching for this particular episode, there's some statistics that have been compiled by the University of Scranton and in the Journal of Psychology, they tell us that only about 8% of the people who make New Year's resolutions succeed. 8%. That's a woefully small number.
And
it's
then-
a small number, yeah.
So if you compare 8% to 92%,
yeah,
you see right here.
that's
okay?
that's a big deal. And so
Yeah, and right in line with that, with the New Year's resolution, one of the very reasons that they fail, and me and you have discussed this. And
right. Well,
I'm
talk about
yeah.
that for a little bit,
And
because
I'm
I know
gonna-
you did some work on that. Why New Year's resolutions fail?
Yeah, well, a couple of things here. One, they're approached with the wrong mindset.
And mindset is a
And
big
he's-
deal for me.
And he's going to talk a little bit more about that.
Yes.
The second one is they're often poorly defined and articulated. The third one is they compete with too many other things. Now that one, I've been guilty of that one.
Yeah, you got too many things going on at
yeah.
the same time.
You're trying to do
and then
too
there's
much.
distraction. Yeah.
And they include unrealistic expectations.
Okay.
Unrealistic because probably they're poorly defined. And they do not include an accountability component.
Now
And
that's can I
Oh,
just
you
talk about the
definitely.
accountability piece, because you know, for me as a coach, I think this is where I'll recommend everyone have a coach. This is just one of those things. It's one of the things that attracted me to coaching, the whole accountability component. One of the ways I explain what I do, you know, with my clients is I say, hey, I help people, I help individuals, I help businesses, I help organizations bridge the gap between their current reality, where you are, and your preferred future, which would be the end, right? So my role as a coach is to help people to bridge the gap between their current reality and their preferred future. Now, there's a process that you know, we've developed. I call the focused engagement process. So now we spend time. We talk about the current reality, where you are, right? And we talk about it, you know, realistically. Like we're saying, you know, success is only a candid dialogue away. So we have a candid dialogue about that. You know, we look at some realistic things where you are. We do an assessment. There's some assessments that we do. We do assessments and look at your strengths and that kind of stuff. And then once we've clearly articulated where you are, your current reality, then we look at a preferred future. What exactly are you looking to accomplish? And you know what? Goals, there are all kinds of goals. There are financial goals, there are weight loss goals, there are health goals, there are relationship goals, there are family goals, whether it's a vacation goal. It doesn't have to be a big thing, right? But what is that preferred future? And a lot of times
career goals.
their career goals, that's right. And a lot of times people don't know how to bridge that. So this is where a coach can come in and ask the right questions. Asking the right questions matter. I know there's a book you're going to recommend.
later.
Asking the right questions, and that's really what a coach does. A coach, there's a difference between a counselor and a coach and a psychologist, right? There's a difference. A coach really asks questions. A coach helps you reach your goals. And so between that gap, the coach also helps you. Now, the coach can help and come in there and help to create some kind of strategy. But eventually what the coach does is holds you accountable to the goals that you set, those action steps that you set. So the whole accountability piece for me is huge, and that's why many of us fail.
And you know, I think, well, with a coach, the thing with, and I've been coached before, the thing with the coach is that they're coming back and they're checking on you on a regular basis. So you're not going it alone. You're forced, really, to keep to the task so that when you meet that coach, you can say, yes, this is it. And then if it is that, okay, you've done something and it's not quite what you think, they can help you by asking those direct questions. They can help you to really see clearly what it is you're trying to accomplish.
So one of the big things I would say take away, even just from the get-go, about succeeding on purpose in 2021 is identify yourself what accountability is going to be is going to look like. Identify what I mean. The sports people, the athletes have a coach.
I can see your passion.
Even the great ones have coaches. Michael Jordan had a coach. Tiger Woods had a coach. Serena and Venus, they have coaches, right? This is because they understand this is what a coach comes in. On those days when you're tired, when you want to give up, a coach checks in on you. Says, "Hey, listen, let's stick with the program." So, yeah. All right. Okay.
So, but before you even go any further, getting back to why New Year's resolutions fail, I read an article in the Business Insider, and psychotherapist Jonathan Alpert, he told the Business Insider that there were three biggest reasons were that New Year's resolutions fail.
The drum roll, right?
And the first one is your resolution is not specific enough. The other one is you're not framing them positively. Now listen to this. Let me give you an example.
Talk about that. Yeah.
Let me give you an example of this. Rather than saying I'm not going to eat junk food, you're going to say I'm going to eat carrots and peanut butter as a healthy snack. Now, the reason that you're not going to say one thing and you're going to say the other is because when you say I'm not going to eat junk food, the picture, the visual you get is that junk food.
Comes to mind right away.
It comes to mind, and all that junk food that you really like, that's your visual, okay? And if you turn around and said, okay, I'm gonna eat carrots and peanut butter as my snack, that's the visual you have. So being able to articulate your goal in a positive manner really gives you the ability to visualize where you really want to be.
And visualizing really does matter when it comes to setting goals, right? It does matter.
It makes a difference.
Yes, you got to be able to see. You know, psychologists will tell you the way the brain is wired, right? If you focus on negative things, that's what you go after.
Exactly.
Whatever has your focus is whatever you put your energy into. So framing it, so I like that, framing it in a positive way. Yeah, framing it in a positive way.
Yes.
I mean, no, I'm sorry, I gotta go there a little bit more. I mean, think about kids, right? You tell your kids, don't do this, don't go there, what happens?
They go there.
They go there, they show up. Why? Because you've painted a picture for them. They see it. They want to know, why is mom saying don't do this, right? Why is dad saying don't do this? So again, same way with our goals, yeah. So frame it positive.
Okay. Your resolution is not about you. And this particular one, I think a lot of us can identify with. They're often inspired by people, what other people would think about you. So you're thinking more of what people would think about you rather than what you really want to accomplish. There are often ideas that others have strongly suggested suggested to the point that you feel obligated to make them. You know, so the reality is, at the end of the day, when you're thinking about goal setting, it has to be about you.
It has to be about you. And again, this is just human nature. People have said, oh, you need to lose weight or you need to go back to school. And they've been saying you'll be good at this. And it's based on what other people have said. You haven't processed that and you make this resolution. But so what I hear you saying is that the resolution has to be about you.
It has to be about you. You're the first one that you have to convince, not somebody else convincing you.
Awesome. Well, you know, the thing about New Year's resolution is that really it's just a setup. It's a setup for us to be able to establish goals.
Yes.
So if you've failed like me, year after year on your New Year's resolutions, one of the things I know for me, I began to set goals. And when I set goals, I began to see the success. Now,
and right where you are, I want to give a personal example. Last year, I set a financial goal for myself. There were certain things I wanted to. There was a certain place I wanted to be financially. So what I did is I took everything and I had this folder. He'll tell you I got this folder and I have all these different things written financially in there. And I revisit this folder every single week. Every single week I was revisiting it. I was calculating. I was making sure that I was still where I wanted to be, and I actually was utilizing money the way that I said I intended to, but I had to revisit it every single week.
And
at the end of this year, I can tell you that I really was surprised at the amount of money that I had utilized in a way that set me up for where I really wanted to be. Oh,
right.
I'm so glad I did that.
and now she just gave you a perfect example of self-motivation, right? Even though there was self-motivation, because I see her reading the books, I see her watching certain certain people that are coaches to her. They may not be paid coaches to her, but I listen to the things that they say, and I know they help to hold her accountable as well. So she revisited those things every week, and would go and would check this off. So the whole idea of accountability really does matter. Now, a couple of things about a goal. I just want to share this real quickly. 2 characteristics of a goal, and I'll give you kind of like a generic formula. A goal must have a clear finish line. Every goal must end. There's an ending point. A goal must have a clear finish line. And the second thing is it also must have a single measure of success. You've got to know what success looks like. I think one of the reasons you mentioned also about the New Year's resolutions is that they're not properly articulated.
Yeah, they're not specific, they're rather vague.
That's right. So you've got to know what success looks like. It's got to be measurable, right? And so one of the things I say is, you hear it say this all the time in business world. If you can measure it, you can manage it, right? And you want to be able to manage your goals. So 2 things: it's got to have a clear finish line. A goal must have an end date. When you reach that date, you're able to evaluate and say, "Hey, did I succeed in my goal? Maybe I was only 90%." I can celebrate 90%, right? We're all looking for 100%, but at least if it's measurable as you go along, you're able to, check. One of the clearest, the simplest illustrations that come to mind, we've all seen those fundraising thermometers, right? Like a United Way fundraiser, right? And you'll see the thermometer and you see how they measure it because the end is defined, a certain date is defined, and we see how they measure it step by step by step. So the generic formula is this: from X to Y by when. There has to be a date. So I'm going to go from point A to point B by this date. That date lends it a sense of urgency.
That's the key there. When it's vague, when there's no
end point, there's no date
point to it or no date attached to it, you can make it so, okay, today I'll do it, tomorrow I won't do it, oh, I'll catch up the next. But no, when you have a clear deadline, in order, you're actually working from the back to the front.
Right. Right.
You're this is the day. So your mind is already here and you're working those steps.
Well, we've talked about this pretty much in almost every show we've done. Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Yeah. One of the habits he says is begin with the end in mind.
Begin with the end.
So have a clear picture of the end, and then that's your date where you're gonna, once I get there, you set a date. So from point A from X to Y by when. I'll give an example, and I got this example, the book I was reading, it's called The 4 Disciplines of Execution by Franklin Covey. And they gave this example about how, remember back in the 50s, right? America had
I wasn't born yet.
I know, but we've read about that. I wasn't born then yet, but hey. So America had a fledgling space program, right? And the goal of the space program was what? They wanted to be number 1 in space exploration. That sounds like a great goal, doesn't it?
It's a wonderful goal.
We want to be number 1. But here's the thing. They never defined what number 1 looked like. Was it how many astronauts we've trained? Was it how many spaceships we've sent up into space? Was it being the first to walk a man on the moon? So really the space program was kind of loosey-goosey, right? Because, hey, the goal wasn't clearly defined. We just want to be number one in space exploration, and no one knew what number one looked like. It wasn't clearly defined. And before you knew it, the Russians came up with Sputnik. Remember, they sent that satellite up into space in the 50s, and then I think in 1961, they had the first man in space.
Because they made that their goal.
All of a sudden, America is feeling salty. But guess what happened also in 61? JFK made a statement. I want you to listen to this statement. JFK made a statement. He said, by the end of the decade, we will put a man on the moon and return him back to Earth safely. By the end of the decade, we'll put a man on the moon and return him back to Earth safely. Now, in that statement, right, what's the clear finish line there?
Get him there, get him back.
By when?
Safely.
By when?
The decade.
By the end of the decade. That's the clear finish line. So the end of the decade was the clear finish line, right? The single measure of success was what? Get him there and back safely. Because if he went there and back and came back missing an arm and a leg, guess what? That wasn't success. Success was defined by him going and coming back safely, everything in one piece. And guess what? Did America put a man on the moon?
Yes, they did.
Did they do it before the end of the decade?
Yes, they did.
What changed? From X to Y by when? They had a clear finish line and a single measure of success.
There you go.
So just just as a takeaway for this particular episode, if you don't take anything away, take this away, that a goal must have a clear finish line, and you've got to know what success looks like from X to Y by when.
I always like to say, when it comes to you have to know what success looks like, you have to know what success looks like for you. Because if you're trying to measure your success against somebody else's, what could be successful for them might not necessarily be successful for you.
Misery.
Some people, for them, being a multimillionaire, that's success. For somebody else, having a family structure that is great relationship, great communications, everybody's healthy, finances are not a problem, that's their goal, that's success for them. So understand that your success might look different from somebody else. You're not in competition. The only one you're in competition with is yourself. And
folks, I'll say this is where coaching comes in. One of the things Lorraine and I do is we do offer coaching services, and we people have asked us on the back end, well, do you do this? Yes, we do. So again, it's only a candid dialogue away, right?
Yes, it is.
It's only a candid dialogue away.
So tell us a little bit about the whole concept of that right mindset that I believe we're talking about for this 2021.
Okay, so all of this requires us to have the right mindset. So the mindset necessary to succeed on purpose in 2021. It's a certain mindset, and a mindset is just it's a worldview. A mindset is the way we look at things. It's interesting, as I began to look at this, I came up with this idea, and I know you're going to be recommending some books, and I was teaching this in one of my classes, and someone recommended a book for me called Mindset. But I had come up with this idea of, two types of mindsets. One is a dynamic mindset, and the other is a static mindset. A static mindset is a mindset that is about doom and gloom. They feel like, we're here, we're done, can't do anything else about it, it's done. That's a static mindset person. But a dynamic mindset is the mindset that says, okay, this is a situation, there's got to be something we can do to make this better.
Okay.
Right? So the mindset really that is necessary, and what I'm saying for success in 2021, you really need a dynamic mindset, because 2020 threw us a curveball.
Yes.
So how do we succeed on purpose in 2021? I want to share three things. Number one, the first mindset is I am 100% responsible for my space.
I like that. So you can't play the blame game. You can't, the excuses it doesn't work in that kind of terminology.
Until I start taking responsibility for my future, right, it will be dictated by others.
That's it.
I've got to own it. I cannot, finger pointing is a cop-out. Say, well, my mom didn't do this, or my dad didn't do this, or my husband or my spouse didn't do this, or my friend or my boss didn't do this. It's a cop-out. There's a difference between taking responsibility and casting blame. So you've got to own your space. I cannot blame anyone for what is going on in my life right now. That might sound a little bit harsh for some people, but the dynamic mindset says even if you have been put down, you've been beat down, you've been whatever, there's a mindset that we can cultivate. And I got to be careful how I say this, because I was sharing this in a class that I was teaching, and a guy in the back of the room, you could tell he wasn't buying what I was saying. He was upset. And, you know, I'm trained for this, so I walked back to the room. I said, this doesn't seem to be right with you. And I'm talking a class full of about 70 people, a grown man. And he said, well, it just seems as if you're saying that I'm responsible for the problem, and you know, and this was at work, for the problem that I'm having at work. I tried to explain it to him, and I couldn't get him to see it. So we got to talking during the break. We came back in, and I don't quite remember what I said, but you could see when the light bulb went on in his head. And here's what his, you know, and here's his situation. What his situation was. I'm just going to summarize it. He had been hired to replace the boss's son. The owner of the company's son was the vice president of the company, had no desire to be there. So he was rude, he was callous, he was all that. This guy was hired to replace the owner's son, and the owner's son was just not making it easy for him. So when I said, you are 100% responsible for your space, he just kept saying, you don't understand, you don't understand. But then when I got to talking to him, to explaining to him that he needed to have a conversation and how to have the conversation, that assertive conversation, and we've talked about this in the other episode when we talked about effective communication in relationships, the difference between being aggressive and assertive, right? And the goal of assertive. So I began to ask him, you know, I said the goal of assertive communication, conversation is to give respect and to get respect, right? It is where you let the other person know. And in the middle of the class, he just started crying. And I mean, people rushed around him. And I was like, oh, what's going on? He said, I get it now. He said, I get it now. And anyway, long story short, that was a win. It was a win. But we had to go through some things. He realized that until he had the conversation, right? And I recommended a book for him. I think I've recommended it here before. It's called Fierce Conversations. It's an excellent book. So mindset number one, I'm 100% responsible for my space.
I like it.
Mindset number two is just owning it, saying, hey, I have access to everything that I need to succeed. That's a mindset. You may not see it right now, but believing that you have access to it, it's kind of like you were saying where, you know, in the article that you read where they said framing it positively.
Yes.
And so the mindset is that I have access to it. The question is, how do I get there? I have access to it. It's everywhere. I have access to the President of the United States. Yes, I do. I have access, right? But now I've got to set some goals. If I want to sit down and talk to the President of the United States, I got to set some goals. I do have access, right? I can get there. And so that's a mindset. Oftentimes we develop what I call limiting beliefs. And limiting beliefs will prevent us from gaining access. Well, I'm just an immigrant from Sierra Leone, and they may not want to talk to me. That's a limiting belief, right? We're in America, land of the free, home of the brave, right? So I have access. So first mindset, I'm 100% responsible for my space. The second mindset is I have access to everything I need to succeed. You know, it's easy to say things.
Can I jump in here for
Yeah,
a little
please do.
bit? Because I think sometimes when you know, when we look at, okay, let me put it this way. A lot of times, and that can be very challenging for some people to believe that we have access to every single thing that we need. The reality is that to succeed, you don't have to do it alone.
Ooh,
You don't have to do it alone.
I love
There are people that are there that have their resources, they have the know-how, and sometimes if you allow yourself to get out of yourself and tap into the resources that are available to you, you'll be surprised at how many people are willing to help. So though you might not have that resource physically in your hand, there's somebody that does. And I really believe in prayer, I really do.
ultimately, that's what
A lot of times I just, you know, if there's something that seems insurmountable for me, I just step back for a little bit. I pray, I ask for insight. And, you know, I know for some of you, this might not be what works for you, but it works for me. I just step back and I say, okay, God, show me what direction I need to go. Show me who it is you need me to tap, you know, to connect with, that will use their power, their influence, and their ability on my behalf. So sometimes we just got to have a little faith.
And I really like that. I want to give a personal example. Came to America in 1989 for college. My family was only able to scrape up one semester's fees. I went to a private liberal arts school in Pennsylvania, very expensive school. There was no way we were going to be able to pay for the second semester. And again, we're talking about believing that I have access to everything I need to succeed. We had this club called the Black Culture Club. Black Culture Club had done an activity, and the president of the college was there. At the end, in his remarks, he was so pleased at the turnout. He said, if you guys need anything, come and see me. Now, people took that statement as that's just what they say. But honey, I took it literally. This was on a Saturday. On Monday, I made an appointment to go see him. I did not know what I was going to talk to him about, but I made the appointment because for me, it was access. And I still remember I went to that appointment. We sat down. Within 15 minutes, he picked up the phone. He called his executive assistant and said, hey, listen, hold my calls for the day. He and I sat down and we talked for 3 hours about anything and everything. I'm asking him questions about how he got to be the president of the college. He's asking me questions about my family in Sierra Leone. At the end of the conversation, he says, so Plummer, what do you want me to do for you? I said, really, I don't know. I said, I'm not sure I'm going to be coming back to here next semester. And he said, why? I said, well, you know, I told you how I came here. I said, and my parents can't afford it. He looked me in the eye. He said, Plummer, we'll make sure you graduate. And guess what? I graduated without paying a dime. Thank you, Lebanon Valley College. Thank you, President John Sinodinos. Folks, you have access. That's the mindset. You see, if I didn't have that mindset, I wouldn't have made that appointment. I wouldn't have made that appointment and I wouldn't have had that conversation. Somebody's out there listening to this right now and they're wondering whether they have access, but they do.
They do.
So you have access to everything you need to succeed. So number one, you're 100% responsible for your space. Number two, you have access to everything you need to succeed. And number three is you just got to believe that you have a purpose in life. Walk in it. Walk in it.
Tell me about that.
Well, you know, again, a lot of times this is where a coach might come in because we all have these things that we feel inside, and a good coach is going to help to pull it out. Okay. So again, this is where I'm saying those conversations where you begin with your current reality, right? You say, you know, I just have this feeling that I want to do this. I'm not quite sure, and a conversation with a coach can set you up for that. So yeah, you're not here by accident. You know, no man is an island. You mentioned that, right?
That's
Rising tide lifts all ships, so we got to collaborate.
Yes.
And this is where this comes in. So Those are the three mindset I believe. If we will embrace those three mindset in 2021, we're setting ourselves up to succeed on purpose. I'm 100% responsible for my space. I have access to everything I need to succeed, and I have a purpose in life, and I'm going to walk in it.
I like it. Yeah. You know, when we talk about goal setting, a lot of people they're really used to hearing that word SMART goals. You know, and where it is specific, measurable,
achievable,
realistic
or relevant, and then it is time bound. That time bound is what gives the what gives the urgency. So now a SMART goal is not necessarily an intelligent goal. The SMART is just an acronym for the words specific, measurable, achievable, or attainable, right? Realistic, some people will say relevant, and then the T stands for time bound.
Yeah, I just threw it out there because I know a lot of people, you know, their mindset is, I've heard that. Where have I heard it? You know, and yeah, you've heard it in different measures, and they don't sometimes think that everything is accomplished until they hear one of those words they've heard before.
Well, one of the things, I think this would be a good time for us to talk about this. I know you were going to recommend some books, but two things I want to talk about.
Okay.
We're going to have we're going to do a 5-day Succeed on Purpose goal setting challenge. We're going to do that.
That's the offer we said we were going to do.
That is the offer we said we were going to do. It's a goal setting challenge. So if you're interested in setting goals for the year, goals for whatever, again, goals could be for anything. It could be health goals. It could be career goals, relationship goals, financial goals. This challenge, we're going to go in 5 days. We're going to break down some action steps that you can take, and we're going to do this in a community. So if you're interested in being part of that goal, let us know. Just write in the chat box there below, say I'm interested, right?
I'm interested.
And we're going to start on the 25th. Yes. So it'll be Monday through Friday. It's a 5 days, and by the end of that day, you will have something to work with. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the second thing with that is we're also going to be doing a workshop on vision casting and goal setting, right? That's going to be a paid workshop, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. But the 5-day Succeed on Purpose goal setting challenge is free. It is free.
It is free.
Yeah, we should wrap this up. I know you had some great books you wanted to recommend.
I do. I have this book by Admiral William H. McRaven. Let me say that again, because I really mess up people's names so bad. But
yes, she does.
I do. Forgive me. Admiral William H. McRaven. He was a Navy SEAL. Once a SEAL, always a SEAL. He's a Navy SEAL, and myself being a retired military, when I saw this caption, "Make your bed," I was like, okay. But listen, this is a very easy read. However, it's a very impactful read. I recommend it because with this read, you read one chapter, and like you see, this is a very small book, but it's so impactful. I got to read one little excerpt out of it. I love this. No SEAL can make it through combat alone, and by extension, you need people in your life to help you through the difficult times. This book has a lot to do with being determined, being a part of a community. The part about making your bed is just about being disciplined, and how it affects everything else in your life.
Right.
Good read.
All right.
Get this book.
What's the
next
book?
one, why don't you recommend one of yours?
Well, the book I was going to recommend is a book by Carol Dweck, Dweck. You notice I'm not holding up a book because I am a Kindle guy. I read on my phone and on my iPad. She has a physical book. but it's called Mindset, A New Psychology of Success. And Carol Dweck really talks about, I think I talked about that briefly earlier. She talks about a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. This is a book that was recommended to me by one of my clients as I was talking about a dynamic mindset and a static mindset. A fixed mindset says, hey, we're done. A fixed mindset says intelligence is static. So I was born this way, that's the way I'm going to stay. A growth mindset says intelligence can be developed so that I can pick up a book and read and learn to become such and such, right? So that's the difference. It's an excellent book. I highly recommend it. It's called Mindset, and it's by Carol Dweck, Dweck.
All right.
Yeah.
And I got another handheld book. I have a Kindle too, but there's certain books that I like to hold. This one you're actually going to write in. And this one is Your 5-Minute Personal Coach by Valerie Burton. And it's Ask the Right Questions, Get the Right Answer. Let me tell you something about this book. It's an easy read too. But it's not so easy when you have to answer those questions. And it's not that it's difficult. It makes you think. It makes you really begin to articulate what you really want. And you can just take 5 minutes on one session. You can take 5 minutes on one session, begin to write. You're getting information. You're writing down answers to those powerful questions that she asks. It is dynamic. I personally have quite a few books by her, but this one here, this is one of my great treasures. Get it. Valerie Burton, Your 5-Minute Personal Coach. I've also given these away as gift. They're a great gift.
All right, and I'll recommend one last book for you. It's by Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K, Simon Sinek, and the book is called Start With Why. I was drawn to this book, again, because there's a phrase I say all the time: when people know why, they perform better, right? And oftentimes we ask people to do things and they don't know why, especially in the work environment or even our kids. Most of us, when we're growing up and our parents ask us to do things and we say what? Why? That's the first question we learn as human beings. That should tell us that it's a big deal, right? We say why, and what do we hear most of the time?
Because you said so.
Because I said so. And then what happens? Rebellion creeps in. Well, folks, and studies have been done about this, that when people know why, they perform better. It's an excellent book, Simon Sinek. The book is called Start With Why.
I love it.
I love it. I've had fun.
I have fun too.
Awesome. Well,
I kind of like this guy, so it's always fun with him.
Yes. Well, we are grateful. Just grateful. Hey, listen. Like the video, share the video, and remember, next week we're going to be meeting again on the 24th on Sunday. But the Succeed on Purpose 5-day challenge starts on the 25th.
And we'll
It'll
give
be
you
a Monday.
Yes, and we'll give you a little bit more direction on that and how to actually access the challenge and what to do.
All right, so don't forget to like and also write there for us in the chat box. Let us know. Say, hey, listen, I'm interested in the 5-day challenge. Write something so we know. Okay? Remember, success is only a candid dialogue away. We'll see you guys soon. That was fun.
Yes, it was.
That was fun.
But that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to goal setting.
It really is just the tip of the iceberg.
We just touched a little bit on it.
Right. I think it's one of the reasons why we said we're going to do the 5-day goal setting challenge. So quite a few of you have already written down that you're interested. So again, the 5-day goal setting challenge, yes, it will happen. So if you're interested, just write I'm interested, and we're going to create a Facebook group. So it's going to be a private group. Not anyone can get on it unless you let us know. We'll invite folks, but then that's what we'll do. It's the 5-day goal setting challenge. There's a comment here that Eleanor made, and I just thought it was beautiful. She said, please add realistic. Just because we set clearly defined, measurable goals with timelines does not mean that they are based on accurate assessments of strengths, challenges, resources, etc. So yes, I love it. We've got to do a self-assessment and make sure that it's realistic. Because one of the things we don't want to do is to set up goals that are not realistic, and then when we fail, you say, well, it didn't work. So the whole idea of a SMART goal, and I think we just touched on that briefly, a SMART goal, yes, is an acronym for a goal that is specific, measurable, actionable, or achievable, or attainable. That's what the A for. And then the R is for realistic or relevant, and then the T stands for time bound. So I love that, Eleanor.
Yes, I'm trying to get back to Lisa's question about goals for marriage. Let me see if I can find it. Meme really responded beautifully, and I want to add to it. I can't find it. It's here. It's here.
The question about marriage?
Yes. Okay. What about in marriage? How do you establish personal and marital goals? I'm glad that you answered that question. When we first got married, I wrote a vision for our marriage. That's over 20 years ago. I still have it. Oh my goodness, I really love this question. So I wrote out what I wanted my marriage to look like, what I wanted my, or kids and all of that. But I had a specific vision for my marriage. With that vision, I knew that there were certain actions that had to be in place. I sat down, I decided what I wanted, I prayed. This is just the action I took. I'm telling you, I had so many books and books on marriage. But I sat down and I wrote down, and I was very clear. I also understood that I didn't have any control over my husband, and he didn't have any control over me, but I did have control over my actions. So everything that I needed to do, that was my prayer focus. That's where I prayed. That's where I put a lot of my energy. If something crop up that I didn't understand, I went to resources, people who had some answers, and we also had people that were accountable. That we were accountable in our marriage.
Yes. Yes. So, this is huge, and if I could just jump in here, this is really where a coach is necessary, folks. Again, I cannot stress the value of a coach. At the time, we did not see, I call him my mentor now. We didn't see him as a coach, but that's what he was. He was there. He held us accountable to certain things that we had said we were going to do. So it starts with having,
when we started out, we actually had about 2 or 3.
Yes.
And these were couples that were married longer than we were.
Right.
But yeah, it helped. And one main coach, but we had a couple. Thank you, Pastor Eric and Suzanne.
All right. And you know what? We're saying it, but it is true. Success is only a candid dialogue away.
Yes.
Who you have that candid dialogue with matters.
Yes.
It's about helping to gain clarity. Again, remember I said where I explain what I do as a coach is bridge the gap between your current reality and your preferred future. So it's about gaining clarity on where you are, having those hard, truthful conversations, and a skilled coach will help to pull them out. It's not a beat you down, it's none of that. Skilled coach will help to ask those questions where you gain clarity where you are. Because you got to know where you are so that you can prepare to get to where you want that preferred future. Yes. So that was a great question.
Really great question.
Great question.
We're going to also be offering that workshop, and this is going to be an opportunity, Lisa, if you're interested, where we will help you develop or write those goals for your relationship. So that, if you're interested in that, any of you are interested in that, but it's not just going to be relationship, career goals,
right.
Just the steps that you need to take, or, the questions that you need to answer.
And I need to clarify this because, again, so we mentioned 2 things. The 5-day goal setting challenge, that is free. That's a free challenge. The workshop though is going to be a paid workshop, and but we believe you'll get a whole lot of benefit out of that because it'll be coaching
One-on-one,
going on. Right.
yeah.
So. All right.
And Gigi, I see you interested. Hey, Gigi and Erno, welcome,
Yes,
welcome.
yes.
Those
So-
are one of my favorite couples.
So
I said one of my favorite.
So candid moment here. She goes, I don't see Gigi, and I don't see Gigi at all. I said, oh, she's there. So anyway.
I said, where's Gigi?
Okay.
All
I
right.
think
Eleanor, thank you so much for your comments, for joining us. Big hug to you, my dear.
Yes.
Love you. Rachel, thank you for joining us. Edmund was in here at one point. Where are you, Edmund? Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
We have a few topics that we're going to be addressing later in the year, and we're going to be reaching out to some of you because I know that some of you have dealt with certain things that I think will be very helpful for the group that join us, for our audience. So really we'll be reaching out to some of you all. So thank you so much.
And remember, we talk about things that matter to you and things that matter to us. Broad range of things, relationships, business things, spiritual things, and so that's what that's about.
All right.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Yes, we're not going to keep because we know that some of you are in very different time zone.
And I haven't eaten yet. I'm just going to put it out there. I haven't eaten it all day long, so.
He's had he's being a Bible occasional pastor. He's a busy man. All right, guys, we love you. Thank you so much for joining. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Happy New Year.
All right.
It's going to be a great one for you.
Remember, success in 2021 is only a
candid dialogue away. God bless.
All right.